Let's talk about how to answer what are your strengths. What's up guys, it's Mike from Job Ready English here with another video to help you pass your interview. Today we're going to be talking about the question, what are your strengths, or what is your biggest strength? Don't forget, if you like this video, we release 3 videos a week. Don't miss any of them by subscribing to the channel, and make sure that you like the video and drop us a comment down below for the next video that you'd like us to do to help you get a job. So let's talk about the what are your strengths, or what is your biggest strength? So these are 2 slightly different questions. Often candidates really struggle, particularly if English is not your first language, with questions that are slightly different. And they think, well, is this a different question? Do I give the same answer? Do I give a different answer? So if someone says to you, what is your biggest strength? You pick one strength, which I know is really difficult to do. If someone says, what are your strengths? I would generally say, if you had 2 or 3 minutes to answer, I'd pick no more than 3 strengths. So now that we've kind of set the boundaries, how do we choose what strengths to pick? And how do we explain those strengths so it's clear and easy to demonstrate? So I'm going to pick out a couple of examples for you so it's just easy for you to figure out. And also I'm going to flag up a couple of strengths which I think can be a little bit weak if they're not provided with evidence. So something that's really important to do whenever you answer a question is to provide some form of evidence. For example, if someone said, well, I'm an excellent astronaut, the next question that comes to mind is, well, when have you been to space? How many times have you been to space? What was it like training to be an astronaut? If you just said that as a throwaway statement with no evidence, then people aren't going to believe you. And it's exactly the same when it comes to an interview question. So say, for example, if I was interviewing for an audit graduate position and I was asked a question, what are your strengths? Well, I'd probably pick out the strengths that relate to the role. So in the role, it's really important to be numerate, to be analytical, to be tech savvy, to have good client-facing skills, to be flexible, to be adaptive, to be good at self-learning for the ACA qualifications, and so on and so forth. So I would pick out 3 of those strengths. So for example, I could say, I can think of 3 strengths. My first strength is that I'm very analytical. Even though I haven't studied a math or statistics-based degree, when I sat down to do my dissertation, which was 10,000 words on pick a random subject, I made sure that I was really organized in putting together my material. I was meticulous in my reading. I had to read through 17 different books and papers. My notes were really clear and easy to understand. And also I was able to see it an objective point of view, to see both sides of the story, because I believe that's really important when you're being analytical, is not to be biased. Another skill that you might mention is say, well, I've got really good client-facing skills. So I currently work as a waiter in a restaurant, and one thing that's really important to have is good rapport with clients. On any given night, we may have 50 people come to the restaurant, and they're all different types of people. They could be families, they could be single business people, they could be couples, and all of them require a different way of dealing and managing with their expectations. I make sure that I'm always polite, courteous, that I try and keep an eye on the tables that I'm bussing at that time, and also that I know the specials, and I make sure to note down any special dietary requirements that person may have. So what you can notice in the strengths that I'm picking out is, number 1, when I think about answering that question, it is tailored to the role. So I'm not just picking out 3 random strengths that I will have and just say, oh, I'm really good at these things. I'm really good at crochet, or I'm very good at fencing. That's not what they're asking for. They're basically saying, well, look, these are the skills that you need for the job, and you can pull those out of the job description. Quick tip, if you have a job description that's not particularly helpful, not very descriptive, then what you can do is go and find a similar job description from a different company. So say you looked up Deloitte audit graduate role, and you're like, well, this job description isn't really healthy because it just says that I need to be energetic and I need to be curious, but I can't really demonstrate that as a skill. Or you can use one of my favorite websites, which is prospects.ac.uk, which is a government website which lays out the job descriptions, requirements, and also day-to-day and even some interviews for hundreds of different jobs. It's a really excellent resource, and for most of you that's going to be a great go-to for you. Then what you do is you're going to pick out a couple of those strengths. I would say no more than 3, because you're not going to really be able to talk about any of them. It doesn't matter so much which ones that you pick, but it's a good thing to think about. It's like, well, what is the proportion of my time spent doing? So if we go back to my example of an auditor, a large proportion of your time is going to be spent analyzing data, looking at Excel, and talking to clients. So these could be 3 skills that you pick out, because that's going to make the large proportion of the time spent within that role. Then the next thing you want to think about is, okay, cool, so when have I been analytical, or how can I clearly demonstrate or evidence that I have been analytical? What's an example that I can provide that says, well, I was analytical because I did this thing. I was organized because I did this thing. That's really important. So job description, pick out 3 strengths and provide some evidence. So that's an easy way to answer what are your strengths. Now, what is your biggest strength is a little bit more difficult, because all you've got to do is you've got to take those 3 strengths and pick one. Again, does it matter? Not so much. But what's really important is the proof. But because you're picking out one bigger strength, you might need to tell a bigger story, tell a star story, so situation, task, action, and result. But always make sure that you prove your strength. Much like a guy going into the gym and he's going to say, oh, I'm really strong, and say, well, lift this heavy weight. You're going to want to see a demonstration of that strength. Guys, I hope that you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, like the video, drop us a comment down below. And if you want more helpful tips like this, if you want more examples for this particular question and other competency questions, you can find all of it and so much more, scripts, templates, videos, the whole shebang, down in the description below in our Interview Success Secrets course with a 365-day guarantee. Hope you enjoyed it, and best of luck.